When it comes to American gun violence, what can one self-taught painter do? My name is Kimberly Sheridan. I am that painter. This is the Million Gun Victims March. I started painting portraits of American gun victims out of a sense of outrage at the non-action of Congress after the Newtown School massacre. 5 years and 157 portraits later, I'm still furious. Reading that over 1 million Americans have died by guns since the death of John Lennon in 1980 gives one a momentary shock. But what would happen if we put all those 1 million faces together, face to face, in the same place? Not with portraits of mass shooting victims that garner national attention like Annapolis today, but the victims of single tragedies that are barely noticed, like the story of Sean Antonio Wood. This young father worked at H&S Bakery. He was determined to make an honest living and be a role model to his children. He was starting home, Easter pay in hand, when an armed robber came up to him. He fled into a circulator bus. The robber followed and shot him in there. All that's left of his vows is his name on a police digital file under unsolved murder cases. Or, what about the story of young mother Mariah Barnes? Faced with the daunting task of raising 4 children single-handedly, she was fiercely determined to give them all they needed, and then some. All her hopes were shattered by a knock on the door. When she stepped outside to see who it was, the shooter peppered her with bullets and fled. Her legacy to her children is the memory of a dark-hooded man who tore their money away for no reason, because her case is also unsolved. When officers die by gun, it seems the whole state mourns. Such happened with officers Mark Loxton and Patrick Daly of Harford County. They were leading an armed hostage taker from the scene when he whipped a concealed weapon out and shot them both. 1 out of 5 officers are wearing bulletproof vests when they're shot. The response of the gun company is to scientifically develop sharper honed bullets and armor-piercing greater capacity to make sure that they give their customers an effective product. But while these officers get parades and plaques and vows never to forget, on the other side of the law, victims like Matthew Wood and Kimani Johnson are meant to vanish completely. They're reputed to be members of the BGF gang. According to police, they were walking down the street heavily armed towards some unsuspecting group of people. Police responded by firing 56 shots at them. Like the archaeologists, they are portrayed on canvas. I research every story, no matter who you are or what you did. All are welcome on my easel. Deshaun McElveen was 17 years old, but he showed promise in his after-school art classes, particularly with the portrait of his murdered uncle. Would he have carried on the tradition started by Joshua Johnson 200 years ago? We'll never know. He was walking along one day when the shooter came right up to him, shot him, and left. All he is joins the hundreds of young black boys killed every year across this country whose cases go unsolved. They called him Reverend James Forrester. He poured his energy into the tattoo museum where he worked and his passion into his bone-rattling music. He was on the phone outside his place of work when he was shot by 2 armed robbers. Felix Papalardi was a pioneering musician and founder of the group Mountain. James Forrester was his heir. Felix was shot by his wife in their apartment in Manhattan in 1983. Both were bass players, both were 43 years old. Beautiful Makia Dyer was an inspiration for her husband, Sean Dyer. She was the genius hairstylist at the salon where she worked. He left a hard-scrapple youth behind to make an honest living with the support of his loving wife. They were shot by someone as they parked their car in front of their house before their love had a chance to mature. I'm not the only one doing things like this, though. Angel Crespo and Edgar Marchese both had a radical sense of fashion. Angel was a barber, and he would do anything to make his friend Edgar look and feel beautiful. Why the man and woman broke into their hotel room and shot them is not yet clear. Now, I'm not the only one doing this. In St. Louis, a group called Faces Not Forgotten is memorializing young children, while in Miami Beach, Shire begins with nothing but a white pastel pencil on black paper pierces the truth with haunting portraits of these victims. King Carter, age 6, drive-by. Raquel Carr, age 4, accident. Rakia Isaac, stray bullet, she was 5. Tavares Rhodes, 14, also accident. Put our shows together and you'd have 500 portraits. If Baltimore artists are willing to face their victims head on, we'd have thousands of portraits, which would become tens of thousands of portraits. Until across the country we'd have 1 million portraits of Americans from every background joined with this one thing in common: they died by gun. Who's ready to start their journey?